Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examination. And about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session is in regards to the DNA of the Hindu, that is of today's of 13th of February 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases which we will be picking up from the Hindu newspaper. And these keywords and the key phrases will be crucial to identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be useful for the UPSC prelims perspective. And while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, that is for the mains examination, your answers would be precise and concise, and therefore you can score higher marks in the mains examination. And the session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will help you to crack both prelims and mains of 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we will focus at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that one day or day one, you decide. So it is up to you whether you will start one day or whether you would start thinking about your success. And today would be the day one. And getting into the DNA of the newspaper, the Supreme Court has issued a notice, and this is in regards to the two states, and that is based on the elections. And here, when we look at it, the Supreme Court has issued a notice to the Andhra Pradesh government on a case which has been, or a petition which has been filed by Odisha, that is in regards to the contempt petition. So the petition which has been filed by Odisha against the Andhra Pradesh government for conducting panchayat elections in a disputed border villages between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, despite there was a status quo order from the top court. So the Supreme Court's notice is in regards to having a kind of imposition onto the Andhra Pradesh government for conducting or for notifying the panchayat elections, and this is in the disputed border villages between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. And the Odisha government has sought a contempt action through the Supreme Court against the three Andhra Pradesh officials, that is on the district collector of Andhra Pradesh and the chief secretary of the Andhra Pradesh and the state election commissioner of Andhra Pradesh, for notifying a panchayat elections despite there was a status quo order from the top court. And the dispute what we have, or the Odisha government which has approached or filed a petition in the Supreme Court, is based on the territorial jurisdiction on 21 villages. So there is a border dispute between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha in regards to the territorial jurisdiction of 21 villages, and these 21 villages is popularly called as Kotia group of villages. And this dispute or territorial jurisdiction dispute has actually been, or it has reached the top court in the year 1968. Since 1968, there is a dispute between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha in regards to the 21 villages, that is called as Kotia group of villages. And this has been based on the three notification. That means the territorial jurisdiction dispute which is in the top court, that is the apex court, since 1968 is based on the three notification. That is notification which was issued in December 1st 1920 and October 8 1923, and another notification which was issued was on October 15 1927. And all this the petitions which have reached the top court in 1968 based on the three notification, the Odisha government has claimed that Andhra Pradesh has trespassed into the well defined territory. That is, there is a territorial jurisdiction, and As per the Odisha, based on the three notification, that is in the year 1920, 1923 and 1927, Odisha government has filed a petition in the Supreme Court saying that AP has trespassed into the well defined territory, and during the pendency of the suit filed by Odisha, the court, the on December 2nd, 1968, has directed both the states, that is the Supreme Court has directed both the states, that is Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, to maintain a status quo. But in spite of a notice or a status quo order by the apex court to these two states, the Andhra Pradesh government has gone ahead with notifying the panchayat elections. Thereby, Odisha has claimed that Andhra Pradesh had trespassed into the well-defined territory by notifying the panchayat elections. Thereby, the issue is now in the court, and in turn, the court had dismissed the suit which was filed by Odisha in the top court on December 2nd, 1968. It has dismissed on the technical grounds in the year 2006. But the status quo, with the consent of the both states only, they have directed a status quo, and that status quo has to be maintained till the dispute is resolved. Please do understand here, there is two keywords which are very important, that there was a suit which was filed by Odisha in the year December 2nd, 1968, but that suit was dismissed by the apex court on the technical grounds in the year 2006. But there is a status quo which has been maintained and which has been directed by the consent of both Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, and the top court has said that both the states have to be maintaining the status quo till the dispute is resolved, but wherein Andhra Pradesh government has not maintained the status quo, wherein the dispute is still not resolved. That is why the Odisha government has filed a petition in the Supreme Court saying that based on the three notification, and AP had trespassed into the well-defined territory of Odisha, and the next hearing would be on February 19th. Here, the point which, or the keywords which you need to focus is in regards to the Supreme Court issuing a notice based on the contempt petition. So, the Odisha government has filed a petition in the Supreme Court against the Andhra Pradesh for notifying panchayat elections in the interstate border village based on, or the petition is called as contempt petition. This is a keyword. And governance and lawmaking should be left to the legislatures. There are two keywords here, governance and lawmaking. And what the law minister, that is Ravi Shankar Prasad, has told in the Lok Sabha, that as there is independence of the judiciary, and independence of judiciary is a part of the basic structure of the constitution, thereby the principle of separation of power is also part of the basic structure of the Indian constitution. Here we will look at the two keywords, that is independence of judiciary and the principle of separation of powers. These are the two keywords which we need to focus, because this was the statement made by the Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, that what is the basic structure of the constitution, that is independence of judiciary as well as the principle of separation of powers is the basic structure of the Indian constitution, and thereby emphasizing on the independence of judiciary and the separation of power, the law minister has asserted that governance and lawmaking should be left to the elected representative members of the country, that is elected members of the legislature. Thereby, he is making it very clear that what is that judiciary is actually getting into the mode wherein the legislature has to take into consideration. That means the governance and the lawmaking should be part of the legislature, and the judiciary does not have total dependence or totally trying to have the say in the governance and the lawmaking? Here it is certainly judiciary versus executive. And the law minister has also said that as there is a rush to file the public interest litigation, and these public interest litigations have been filed on every issue, therefore the law minister has appealed to the judiciary to look into the PILs, wherein the PILs or public interest litigations are only genuine, and only when there are the PILs are on the genuine issues, such as it could be on the compensation or working condition of the working classes, only then the judiciary has to accept the PILs, because there is a rush to file PILs on each and every issue. That is what the law ministry is making a statement and appealing to the judiciary to look at the genuine issues. And this response, or he was giving a reply to the debate on an act, that is Arbitration and Reconciliation Act 2021. So this is the key phrase which you need to focus for the prelims perspective, that a debate has been taken up in the Lok Sabha and a reply by the law minister in regards to the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2021, which was passed by the Lok Sabha. And in turn, while he was replying to the debate, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad has urged the judiciary to exercise its discretion. So he is wanting the judiciary to look into genuine issues, or genuine issues which are part of the PILs, and is urging the judiciary to exercise the discretion in accepting the public interest litigation. So the discretion is very necessary as per the law minister, which the judiciary has to exercise whether it is a genuine public interest litigation and accept it. And when you look at the Arbitration Act, that is the amendment made to the Arbitration Act, is, or it will empower the courts to stay any arbitration awards if they have obtained, whether the arbitration award which they have obtained is through any kind of fraud or corrupt means, then in that scenario the courts has the power to stay the arbitration order or awards. And this is the amendment made to the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2021, and this is very important for prelims, for mains also, because the amendment made is to empower the courts, wherein the courts has the power to stay, put a hold onto the arbitration awards, and whenever the court feels that the arbitration awards which they have obtained is through the process of a fraud, or it is a process of a corrupt means. Here the law minister is making it very clear to the judiciary that it has to exercise its discretion while especially accepting the public interest litigation. So the keywords here are independence of the judiciary, separation of powers, and governance and lawmaking, and also in regards to the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2021, and this proposes to empower courts to stay any kind of arbitration awards. And the Supreme Court has also given a recent judgment saying that intermarriage can reduce caste tensions. So we will look at on what basis the Supreme Court has in the recent judgment said that the intermarriage can reduce the caste tensions. So in the judgment it has said that educated youngsters are now getting into the path, and they are showing the way forward to reduce the caste and community tensions in India. How the young educated are showing the way forward to reduce the caste and community tensions in India as per Supreme Court, that is by tying the knot in intermarriages. So the Supreme Court is some way the other accepting that the intermarriages would reduce the tensions or reduce the caste and community tensions in India, and that is now being followed, or this is a way forward by the educated youngsters in India, and thereby it has said that the educated younger boys and girls are choosing their life partners, and this in turn, wherein the boys and girls, younger boys and girls, while they are choosing their life partners, this kind of, or the way forward the educated youngsters are showing is a departure from the earlier norms of the society, wherein the earlier norms of the society, which were the caste and community, which had played a major role, and now by tying the knot in the intermarriages by the educated youngsters, the caste and community tensions are reduced. And this is the statement made by the Supreme Court in the recent judgment. And this judgment was made by the Supreme Court when there were many cases which were challenging the religious conversion laws, and these religious conversion laws which were enacted by various states in India, and to challenge the religious conversion laws there were many petitions filed in the Supreme Court, and in turn, the Supreme Court, by the bench led by Justice Kaul, has observed on February 8th that the consent of the family or community or clan is not necessary. So, look at it. The Supreme Court has gone ahead with observing or making a judgment while hearing the petitions or challenging the religious conversion laws, saying that the consent of the family or community or clan is not necessary when the two adult individuals have agreed to get married or have entered into a wedlock, and that their consent has to be piously given primacy. And therefore it is very clear now that the one who has been into the process of getting marriage or into a wedlock, when they both are adult and they consent, so there is no need of a consent from the family or community or a clan. This is the judgment which was observed by the Supreme Court on February 8th on to the various petitions which were challenged for against the religious conversion law. And Justice Kaul, while observing the judgment that the consent of the family or community or clan is not necessary, he has also quoted Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste, wherein he is also the father of the constitution, and in that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has said that I am convinced that the real remedy is intermarriage. Fusion of blood can alone create the feeling of being kith and kin, and unless this feeling of kinship, of being kindred, becomes paramount, the feeling of being aliens which has been created by caste will not vanish. So this was the statement which Justice Kaul, while delivering or observing the judgment on February 8th in regards to the consent of the family or community or clan is not necessary in regards to two adult individuals entering into wedlock, has been quoted from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's book, that is Annihilation of Caste. And there is another news which talks about Myanmar issue, and there are definitely concern about the democracy which has to be restored in Myanmar and the kind of military junta which has taken up in Myanmar. And in turn, many countries have raised concerns about the democracy to be restored in Myanmar. And in turn, the United Nations Human Rights Investigator for Myanmar has urged the United Nations Security Council to consider punitive sanctions, arms embargoes, travel bans in response to the military coup in Myanmar. There is a clear message from the United Nations human rights investigators that they should be imposing of sanctions, arms embargoes and travel bans so that the democracy should be restored as soon as possible in Myanmar. And the United States have also imposed sanctions on Myanmar, and the United States has urged the United Member States that there has to follow a suit, and this it has made to the Human Rights Council, and it has United States has written to the Human Rights Council for the first time after the elections or the presidential elections, and along with the United Nations human rights investigators, it is United States which is urging and to consider the suit and to impose punitive sanctions, arms embargoes, and travel bans in response to the military coup by the military general in Myanmar. And a forum has been come into existence and they have met, and that is a 47 member forum, and this meeting has been at the behest or the request of Britain and European Union so that they would come up with a resolution or consider a resolution for release of the Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi and Mr. Andrews, and also it wanted a resolution to be taken up in the 47 member forum that the United Nations monitors should be allowed to visit Myanmar to look into the kind of the democracy which is now at the position that it has to be restored. If you look at this, that is Britain, European Union, and various other countries have come forward that the Aung San Suu Kyi and Mr. Andrews have to be released and democracy has to be restored. But when we consider or look at China and Russia, they are not really for the consideration of resolution taken up by the 47 member forum, because China and Russia have close ties with Myanmar's military and they have opposed holding a session, that is a meeting of 47 member forum, because they say that, or China says that whatever is happening in Myanmar, that is the military coup, is, they say that it is Myanmar's internal affairs. So when it is an internal affairs, we should not have a kind of say from the other countries or from a group of members or a forum. And the Russian ambassador has also said in regards to the military coup in Myanmar, it says that there is a human rights issues, and this human rights issue should be addressed through a open dialogue and a cooperation, but not by a having a resolution by a 47 member forum. So here the China and Russia are very clear that they are opposing the 47 member forum to consider a resolution to restore democracy and to release Aung San Suu Kyi and Mr. Andrews, and also that Myanmar should allow UN monitors to visit Myanmar. But China and Russia are saying that it is a Myanmar's, the issue which is going on is Myanmar's internal affairs, and any kind of human rights issues have to be dealt through open dialogue and cooperation. And this is as per the international relations, we have to focus this how the United Nations Security Council, part of the UNO, United Nations Security Council, is now trying to consider punitive sanctions, arms embargoes, and travel bans on the urge of United Nations human rights investigators and also the United States and 47 member forum wanting to consider a resolution to release Aung San Suu Kyi, Mr. Andrews also. And this is in regards to the economy, the data voice, that is there is increase in the data, and by that inflation is cooling down, and Indian or index industrial production index is rising to 1%. And when we look at this news, India's retail inflation has slowed down, has come down drastically, which was almost 16 months, it was going very high. That is almost 1.5 year. The retail inflation was high, but now it has come to 4.06, and this retail inflation has decrease because of the sharp deceleration in the food prices, because the food prices have reduced. That is why the retail inflation has slowed down, and by the decrease in the food prices, the industrial output has rebounded, and this industrial output rebound or growth is of 1% in December. And the industrial output rebound has taken place because there is increase in consumption of electricity and manufacturing sectors. Because of the increase in the electricity and manufacturing sectors, the industrial output has grown, and this is because of there was sharp decline in the food prices, and because of the sharp decline in the food prices, the retail inflation has come down to 4.06, which it was very high comparing it to the last 18 months. And the inflation which we are talking is based on the CPI, that is consumer based index, and this consumer based index is now at 4.59 percentage in the December month of 2020. But if we look at what threshold the RBI has fixed for the consumer price index retail inflation or inflation based on the consumer price index, is they have fixed for 6 percentage, but it has gone ahead, or it was above the 6 percentage threshold which the RBI has fixed, and it was for almost 6 months it was above 6 percentage, and this is a cause of concern because RBI has fixed it from anything from 4 percentage to 6 percentage, but it has crossed 6 percentage, that is consumer price index has crossed 6 percentage for 6 months, right from June to November 2020. But if you look at, because of the decrease in the food prices, now the retail inflation has slowed down, and the consumer price index has also come down below 6 percentage, which was from June month to November 2020. And definitely this is a good news that the retail inflation or the inflation based on the consumer price index has reduced, and the prices in the food prices have reduced, and industrial output has increased because of the increase in electricity and manufacturing sector. And when we look at the core inflation, that is when you exclude the food and fuel prices, the core inflation is 5.7 percentage, and which is now almost below 6 percentage. And when we look at the rural inflation, it is now 3.23 percentage, and urban inflation is at 5.1 percentage. So certainly the food prices in urban area is high comparatively to rural India. That is why urban inflation is standing or at 5.1 percentage, comparing it with the rural inflation, which is comparatively low at 3.23 percentage. And the moderation in the consumer prices is because of a broad-based softening in food inflation. That means the food prices have reduced, and the consumer price index is rising to 1.89 percentage in January, wherein the consumer price index was 3.4 percentage in December 2020. Therefore, the consumer prices are reducing because of the prices which has softened in the food index. And the index of industrial production as per December has provided some kind of cheer and happiness for the recovery in the output, because it is now followed by 2.1 percentage which has dropped in November, and it has rebounded, it has surged by 5.1 percentage in regards to the index of industrial production, that is IIP. That is because of the electricity production, which has been 5.1 percentage jump in the electricity production and 1.6 percentage in the manufacturing sector. Thereby, because of the electricity and the manufacturing sector's output production, the index of industrial production has increased and it has recovered. So, in this, we are focused on various keywords and we will look at this, that is in regards to the industrial output rebound and the consumer price index CPI, and also the RBI's upper threshold, which was 6 percentage, which is 6 percentage also, and you have the core inflation, rural inflation, urban inflation, consumer price index, and the index of industrial production. So these are the keywords which you need to focus, so that you will have a better understanding about the inflation, and this is part of the economy or Indian economy which you need to focus, which will be useful for the prelims perspective. And now we will focus at the question, which is question of the day is: educated younger boys and girls are choosing their life partners, which in turn is a departure from the earlier norms of society, where caste and community plays a major role. Discuss. That means, because of the educated younger boys and girls, there is a departure from earlier norms of the society. That means, in the earlier norms of society, caste and community played a major role. But now, because of the younger boys and girls, that is educated younger boys and girls, who are choosing their life partners and getting into the wedlock with their consent, is definitely creating a new norm, that earlier norms of society, which caste and community played a major role, is now departing. So you please write an answer, that is discuss, and this will be very useful for the mains examination in regards to the answer writing practice. And this again in regards to the Indian society or social issues. You can focus this and try to write an answer. And I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable, both for mains as well as prelims examination. So I would say a very big thank you to all. Good luck to you all. And then do maintain consistency and stick to your schedule. And then take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel. And also have access to the website and Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy. And see you again with the daily news analysis. Till then, thank you, take care, and goodbye.